Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with more Workers and Resources. On the weekend this time, I promised you a video on the Saturday here, and here I am, okay? We're going to start off by talking about a couple of things. You guys have had lots of comments in the last video. I appreciate it. There have been several of you that have had some really decent insights into potentially what's been going on, and I wanted to express my gratitude for that, as well as to point out the rights and wrongs of where you are. Basically, rights and wrongs of where I am, too. I'm going to pause it for the sake of frame rates here. So, first thing I want to talk about is the reconstructions and how we're just having a hard time keeping up with them, okay? Now, this is the only area where reconstructions has a problem. It's really in this area specifically and all the way over into here. It's essentially the Zernovsky and Checkpoint Char areas. And the reason why this area has such a difficult time with it is because there are so many small structures. All these little tiny houses. All these little tiny houses. We got all over here. Little tiny houses over here. There are a lot of smaller structures. It's not dense. It's spread out with many smaller structures, okay? With that being done, it also creates many more individual jobs. And when you create a lot of individual jobs, the construction offices get full. They can't add any more jobs. There's two fundamental I think I would actually go as far as to say there's three fundamental problems that I'm having here that I need to work on fixing. Now, the first is I just simply don't have enough offices to cover that many jobs. I believe I do, but since I'm also using this team to build, at least for a little while longer, they're going to stop building things pretty soon because this stuff is almost done. And then they shift to being entirely reconstruction, which is the good thing. That's the end result. But I wanted to show you that I haven't changed anything about these configurations, okay? This office right here, it auto searches only reconstructions in a 3,000 meter radius. And almost all of its jobs are reconstruction projects, okay? This one right here, same thing. Only auto searching reconstructions, and almost everything it has are reconstruction projects. However, if we were to compare this list and this list, they're all basically the same projects, which means they're flowing over both offices at the same time. They're not taking one and then you'll take the other. They're like, hey, we're both on that. And because of that, the list fills up and no new jobs can be added. So that's the first major problem. It wouldn't be a huge deal if these offices would simply get those jobs done and, get them quicker because there's more trucks on them and then move on. But the second problem with this is that there's not enough labor for construction. So these guys fill up their job queue and they get all through here, right? And then they go over to, say, this wind power plant, and the reconstruction is not done. And it's not done because there's no labor there. 17 work days remaining, right? We have some workers on site on this one specifically, but there are a lot of jobs where they're just not getting done. There's also a lot of jobs in here, you'll notice, that are at 0%. All right, now if we click them, well, it really just needs the work days. Everything else has been delivered, but it's still considered at 0% because the job is so small. It's an electric substation. They're delivering this tiny quantity of material is less than 1% of the job, apparently. It's very small. So there's a lot of little things like that. Water pumping station, another example where it's a very small structure, a very small building. It just needs somebody to get here, and they're not. And all of this is auto searching already, okay? These are all auto search things from offices that are dedicated to that task. Now that brings me to the second problem, and that's that they're not actually dedicated to the task. They have the auto search put in, and this is what they're doing on their own. And you have to have this. If you don't have offices auto searching reconstructions, you just lose. I mean, everything just goes down because you cannot, as a player, when you get to this level, you can't go, okay, which one of you are needing reconstruction now? You can't do that, right? You have to have things reconstructed automatically in that case. Taking a look at the other offices, this one's the same way. This one is the same way. All of these are like that. All of my construction offices have been set to do this pretty much ever since that big update that happened in like episode 80 or something. I mean, we're almost 100 episodes past the point where these things have been set this way. And they all got set this way because, remember, my frame rates tanked on this update, and I have never recovered. And on top of that, look at this traffic issue. I got to figure this out. Is it people who are not paying attention to my roundabout rules again? I bet it is. I bet it's people going round and round and stopping in the middle of the roundabouts again. This should never happen. I don't know what this is. We're gonna do this against my better judgment. That should never happen. Nobody should be stopping in the middle of the roundabout. You see the permissions? You're supposed to stop for those who are already in there. That's been the rule since day one, you stupid bitches. Second thing, quite a few of you pointed this out, and it's just like one of those things where you see it as a passive viewer, but you don't necessarily see it when you're playing it and planning a lot more stuff to go along with it. You kind of overlooked it. Now, you might notice, I think I might suspend a few of these things. You might notice there's some constructions going on over here that you don't recognize, okay? We're going to talk about those. And even though the solution is not to add more of these at the moment, long term, this is a very good idea. And we're going to talk about that. So, I have this one water treatment plant. If I was to look underground right now, you're going to see a whole lot of chaos, but I want to focus on the things that are already built. So, from the pump here, from the water pump, right? Or the water well, whatever it's called. Both of these wells feed into multiple pumps, and they pump water into here. I also have pumps running from the reservoir out. So pumps go to here and to another reservoir, in fact, and then it will go out this way and feed this with water. But none of this stuff has water. And same thing with here. From the reservoir, it goes out to pumps, right? I've known about water pressure and how it works in this game since, for a very long time, okay? Like multiple hundreds of videos in my past of my channel's history. But everybody, even though you recognize and know how it works, you overlook things sometimes when you have a lot of complicated projects to do. And as a YouTube viewer, you can see things like this more than I can because I'm focusing on a lot of other things. And here's what I forgot. It's a noob mistake, but here it is. You need pumps that come out of this into the reservoir. Thank you for the 12 of you that pointed this out. Whoopsie. Okay, so I don't know how many of you. There's a lot of comments. Anyway, we're going to take this, go this way. And since there's really no one getting water right now anyway, I think this is no problem. We'll just cut the whole thing. Since no one's getting it there anyway, they're empty. And we will go ahead and place the water pumping station, a large one, to this direction over here. We'll probably do it like right here. Yeah, this is probably good. Right there is fine. And then we'll also place one over here. Now, this one might be a little bit trickier to place because of the stairs being here, but I think actually I can probably get away with it being, for sure it would just be able to wrap around, right? I think it would actually. Let's just do it like this. So we'll place 2 of these, and we're gonna get all of the offices. Everyone's gonna focus on this. So I'm gonna get, I think that the main, all the helicopters and stuff, right? So I'm gonna get you guys working on these right now, and then obviously the deconstruction offices will already have these projects auto-searched eventually too if I unpause it. But just to make sure it goes quickly, I want both of these demo offices on that and both of these demo offices on that. Now, JD was in the comments earlier. Hi, JD. And he mentioned something about like this pipe right here was already marked for deconstruction. Is it past Charlie helping future Charlie? No. This was marked for deconstruction because I was going to put this system in. This was already planned. I just didn't have it put in place yet, but I've accelerated it because I thought it was necessary because I had a water shortage. So this was always part of the plan. The new thing that wasn't part of the plan is putting this over here, but I'm still going to allow this to build, and let me tell you why. I already want to have 2 of these close by, and I want to have 2 of these running. Now, I wasn't originally going to put this building here. I was going to feed it off over here because I thought it would get better quality water to start and everything, but I've since decided that it's better to put it here because of just like worker availability and stuff. This building is identical to this one. And the pipes coming out of it, even though it's a little bit messy with the well, because the well is feeding that way and this way. And this well also feeds all the way around into this pump as well to pump water into here. Okay, so both of these are feeding into this as well. These pipes, which are now already completed, are pumped. See, pumped right here. I got the pump there. It's going to get pumped into here. All right. And then it's the same source. So this was in the way of me connecting this pipe. And so I wanted it deconstructed so that I could get this pipe in there later. And I just didn't bother to place this yet because I didn't know I needed it. Anyway, why do I want two of these? Well, one part of it is I thought maybe I would need two of them because of how dense this place is. But the other part of it is because I may lose one at some point. And because of how dense this place is, that's a big problem. Imagine you have the lives of 20,000 citizens, which is about how many people are going to live on the screen right here. Imagine you have about 20, I think it's closer to 17K. I might be exaggerating that a little bit. But imagine you have, let's say, 15,000 citizens living in an area, and all 15,000 people are dependent on this building, and it catches fire. Like, uh-oh, right? And maybe it burns to the ground. And now you have to clear the rubble and rebuild it. And meanwhile, everyone has no water. That's no good, right? That's no good. Redundancy. Two buildings feeding into the same system, from the same system, two wells. One of them goes down, the other one still works. Always part of the plan. I put two here before too. Always part of the plan. Two different directions, two different reservoir tanks feeding two different setups. We even have two different water stations. There's a big water pumping station, but there's also this. This is the substation that feeds water to all these guys, right? Pretty important that these guys have water, especially since it's the hospital. Guess what I have pending construction right here? Another water substation feeding all basically the same thing, including the hospital, right? Redundancy. I'm building redundancy into this system so that one thing going down can't harm it. Now, again, this wasn't part of the plan before, but I started doing it anyway because I thought I needed the water. I had the water shortage. So I'm going to let this finish because I just want extra water into the system can't hurt. And it turns out these guys didn't have any drinking water. So I started this expansion in the end of the last video, moving it this direction so that we would have this big water tower and we would feed into this substation to provide water to, this entire area here that's not currently covered by any other system, right? That was the general idea. What I'm planning to do now, again, extra redundancy, is just to take a pipe out this way and maybe stick a substation, over in here somewhere and provide redundancy for this area just in case this substation goes out or the other ones. Because this building is going to have like 1,600 people living in it. I have no idea what the implications of that are in terms of like people drinking water off of a single large pipe, okay? 1,600 people off a single substation is not something I have anywhere else in this republic. So I'm worried about that. So I have redundancy. There's multiple, I believe 3 substations reach this building, right? So there's going to be some stuff happening here when this place actually gets full, and I want redundancy into it, basically. However, I've already had this started, and I've forgotten about this too. Totally forgot that I had set this up. So I finished it because it was pending construction this whole time, and it was just like waiting for me to hit the button that says, okay, you're allowed to do it. This goes off into this pump that was pending construction. And then this pipe here is new. This is new, as is the position of... Oh, wait, not this. This one. This is new. And it comes from here. Yeah, that's it. So this wasn't in here before. All of this was. This is still pumping water all the way over there. That's actually been there for a while. But the other connection from this water tower that's been sitting here by chemicals, right? This other connection, this is new. The water goes out this way, and it looks like the quality of water here is 81%. Oh. This isn't the right water tower. No, it can't be this. It's this one. Okay. Whew. I was like, wait a minute. How did I screw that up? No way, man. I was always planned my ass. No, I'm just clicking the wrong one. There's one here and one here. The other connection right here. This is new. This is a new pipe. It goes all the way out this way and connects to this substation. And then this substation here that the helicopters built will now bring water to the kids. All right. So now the water is going to the kids. All right. Everything is great. I just need to connect this to something so that it can get its maintenance in the future. But thank you, helicopters, for making that very confusing all the time and having to figure out which ones don't have the walking path yet. Yeah. Okay. So I've addressed everything, I think, of what has to happen. So how am I going about fixing these problems? Well, the water thing, I think it's going to work itself out. We're going to get, of course, two additional trucks that are dedicated to bringing chemicals to these places. It should be pretty straightforward to get those chemicals since you're kind of making them right here. I'm hoping that maybe these guys, with enough labor, we can make chemicals a little more seriously now is what I'm hoping for. But if not, then if not. But right now, we don't really deliver a whole lot as far as chemicals to this building. That's hopefully coming in the future. At the moment, it's just this single truck bringing chemicals in, and then other water trucks from technical service offices picking up water here and bringing it wherever it needs to go, right? Bringing it to these substations. That's the reason why some of these substations end up having water in them in the first place. Any water at all, it's not in there now, but any water at all being in here is pretty much a direct result of a truck coming over and dropping it off into there, which it doesn't last very long. So anyway, that's what I'm doing about the water problem, right? We're going to get these pipes taken out eventually when the demo offices finally get off their ass and get here. Looks like maybe we can get some people over here to do it, I guess. So that's interesting. We got people on site. No, is this for? Oh, it's for this. Well, you're just wasting your time. You should be helping with the demolition is what you should be helping with. Here, let's make this a higher priority. Okay. You guys should be helping with the demo. Maybe this will finish first. And if it finishes first, then we'll start delivering chemicals here instead, and then it will just work, right? Because it's all going into the same piping system anyway, so it's fine. I saw a notice earlier while I was monologuing that my fuel tank is missing fuel again. That's no good. Are we using all the fuel now? Oil. Oh, you're siphoning off of your supply, you little vampire. All right, tell you what. I'm not going to have you wait till full. I'm just going to have you go. Okay, get out of here so that we don't lose fuel. Now, the oil situation, the fuel situation has been a pretty big burden because these trains... Excuse me. I actually think I cut it out of the last video because of time. And upon looking back at the video and posting it, I watched the whole thing because I was trying to figure out what people were talking about with the comments and everything. And I think I cut it out. So let me share with you something that happened in the last video that apparently wasn't worth the cut. I had some problems with my oil trains. And the main problem was, it's not this train, it's the other train. The other train, that's the oil train, it has a part of its route that is programmed, and this might happen to you guys too, so keep this in mind if you're playing this game too. It has, as part of its route, a load fuel, okay, and then unload that fuel as it passes by. So that Magnitograd over here, right, around Mount Char, can get its fuel supply, okay? And the problem with it, here it is right here, speak of the devil, hi. The problem with this, and I've already corrected it now, so you can kind of see what's going on here, but the issue is that this thing had 240 tons of fuel in it, total, the train. 240 tons of fuel, but it was never getting oil. It would come all the way over here, it would drop off the fuel, it would still have some left, which is fine, but it wasn't going to fill its entire capacity that it has left over with oil. And that was an issue that I've now recently corrected and should now be reflected in my oil shortages going away, at least I hope. What can happen here, and this is what did happen, is that each individual car of this train, each individual car had like 25 tons, 20 tons, 34 tons. You know, it had little bits of actual fuel in it. and therefore oil was not allowed in. So I've gone into the setup for this train, since it is a mixed resource train, but those mixed resources use the same cars, right? Oil and fuel. I've gone into the advanced setup for it, and I've specifically designated the front car to be mixed. In other words, you can have oil and fuel. And then every car after that is oil exclusive. So it's been set to where it won't hold anything else. And so now when I tell this car to fill up 100% of fuel, it's really only going to fill up 100% of one car at most. It's going to take 120 tons of fuel at most. In this case, it's taken just a mere 0.25 tons, which is, well, it's quite pathetic, but I didn't have any fuel because I believe this is the first route. I just fixed it. I just fixed this recently. So I believe this is the first route that this train is taking with this new setting. Okay. So you got to be careful with that. So if you ever notice your oil trains, you know, if you have a route set up similarly the way I do, and you know, I don't know, I probably don't even do things the right way or the most efficient way or whatever, right? But if you use your trains the same way I do, where you have mixed resources in the same route, like oil and fuel, you probably should designate which cars can take what resource. And I've elected to have the front car allow both, because if it does drop off 100% of its fuel in its route, I don't want to waste that car by just simply having it be a fuel car. So it is going to be able to fill it with oil on the way back, to where if it doesn't drop off all the fuel on its route, that's okay, because the pending fuel that it has is now at least isolated to that one car, and it won't disrupt the rest of the route. Now, the other train doesn't stop and refuel things. The other train just keeps going, so I don't have to do that with that car, that train, because it's only doing oil, if that makes sense. Hello, track builders. Are you making electrifications for me? I hope so. You should be. I'm trying to electrify this stuff. You're confused. I understand. Goodbye. How are we doing on this? Are we getting it? Getting it done? Looks like there's still some pending stuff here. This whole area here is supposed to be non-disruptive. When I said make it all electric, I thought it was going to be non-disruptive. But it turns out it's actually quite disruptive, because there are some trains, not this one, but there are some trains, like the one that takes mechanical components and brings it over here. Some of these trains, they actually go this way. And so now they get confused and they stop and they can't move, and then they stop at this intersection and they get backed up, and I have to control H the shit out of a whole bunch of trains to fix it. I've since fixed that logistical issue, but there's always a tiny thing. This is a game, unlike any other game I've played, right? There are games out there, like there are city builders out there where you snowball shit, right? You get out there and you've been doing really good for 300 hours. You've got this huge city, great economy, swimming in money, and you're thinking you're invincible. And at that point, the game starts to, at least for me, it starts to get a little more boring, because the challenge is erased. It kind of is eroded, right? There's not as much challenge anymore. It feels like the same old, same old. This game is unique, for me anyway, in that it does not stop being challenging just because you have a lot of stuff established. There's always something, there's always a problem, there's always something to fix. And the always something to fix is usually not the same thing over and over again. Just because you fixed one thing, now all of a sudden you realize something new, right? Or you try to build something different and you realize that the same systems that worked one place don't work the other place. I like to build things differently. I'm sure I've made lots of mistakes compared to some people that don't make those mistakes. And I'm sure I've designed things way different than a lot of other players do, especially with the density that I've got going on here, especially with the train network. I know there's been a lot of people over the last year in this series. We've been going on for over a year now, yeah. There's been a lot of people over the last year that have just scoffed at just scowled me for the look on their faces, metaphorically speaking, about how I've made these intersections. But, I mean, does it work as well as your trains? Maybe not. But it works really well for my Republic because, again, any train can get anywhere. And we're going to do things differently, though, across the river. When we get over here and start doing things in the west, we are going to use trains very differently for these areas over here. Okay, so you're not going to see a lot of these intersections for trains. It's going to be a lot more spread out. We're not going to have a lot of density. We're going to have a good, thriving city and then a lot of space between another good, thriving city. And there's not a whole lot going on in between. And because of that, we can have longer trains over here. We'll have trains that have a whole bunch more on it, transferring a whole bunch more resources from one place to another, longer train tracks, intersections that don't actually intersect, but are more mergers. So bridges and stuff and tunnels that go underneath each other instead of having them cross. All of the things that people would normally think are the better ways to do trains. We'll probably be doing them over there across the river. And the across the river part starts once we have nuclear set up. Because at this point, if we can have nuclear consistently set up, then I have enough labor to proceed. And that's how I'm going to judge it. Okay? So all this time I've been monologuing. And I need to let it run so that the stuff gets built and we can kind of see the results of this labor. I am going to allow all this stuff to finish. I'm not going to stop it because I want it to work. And also because I genuinely think this building will be able to provide water to the rest of the city before this one will. So, yeah, we're going to just wait for that to happen because the pipes are... Well, I mean, the pipes are kind of done. I guess these pumps aren't done, but they're getting worked on too, right? And then finally, right, for the construction problem, what are we doing to fix the construction issue? You said about construction offices and not having enough cars, right? Well, there's this one going in. That'll help, especially since it's search radius, going to cover the whole thing. And there's another one going in, right? There was one more going in. It's over here. It's going to be right here. Another construction office going in over here too. So we're just adding more trucks. Ideally, what I should have done is had, like maybe a 16 car one or whatever. I think this one's the 16, and spread them out, and then have them cover 1,000 meter radius. Having them all bunched together, covering a 3,000 meter radius means they all get the same jobs. If I spread them out and have them cover 1,000. Well, now they're spreading out. They're covering the same, area, but they're not sharing as many jobs, right? There might be a little bit of crossover, but not a complete crossover. So, trying to figure out and learn from those mistakes, man. All right, I'll be right back. It's early December, and I did say that I thought this thing would be performing well for us before this one did, and it just finished this pipe, so we now have both of these guys pumping water into here. And so, naturally we're getting water flow now. Okay. So everything's fixed on that side now. And then there's just a little bit more left to go over here. It looks like there's one more pipe left to do. 7 mere work days remaining. But we already have the other one completely done, sending water this way. So it doesn't matter. So again, we have redundancy here, which is cool. We also have a full load of chemicals in this building, so that's really great too. Let me just slow this down a little bit. These frame rates are getting horrible. A little bit of work left on that pump, and then we'll get an extra set, more redundancy, I guess, pushing all the water into here. But it's water tank is filling up pretty good, right? And it's it's nice. So like both of these are done now, and that means that both of these can now have water now. So now the real question is, are we going to have enough, right? And as everybody has water now, it's a good time, I think, at this point to just start turning on buildings, right? Just let people in, see what happens. Now, we have to cover temperature as a potential threat as well. So let's assess the situation here in the winter time. Okay, so this one here, doing really well. Lots of coal in here. Right, we're ready and set. This one here, not so well. I think it's just a worker shortage, but the tank is starting to get there. But like the workers, we need to get more workers in here for like stat. There we go. Yeah, 15 out of 20 there. There we go. So I need to maybe take a look at, any potential problems that are there, and possibly send a little bit of that heat into this system too. I'm wondering if maybe, I might be able to. I guess these are all outputs, right? Are they all outs? I forget how these things work. This is one of those things I haven't really used much, is the heat pumping stations. They usually have, I usually just have everything without a pump, right? But this one, the icon's a little weird because it looks like all arrows point outward. But the way I have these configured is that there's kind of 3 together, I feel like, and then there's the one on the right that's kind of going the other direction. I usually use the one on the right as the input, but for all I know, all of them are ins or outs depending on how everything flows. If that's the case, I could take a pipe from here and bring it over and just slap a pipe into each one of these. Again, just providing that redundancy in case one goes down. It's probably a good idea to have these things do that to cover each other in case of labor shortages and things like that. We are bringing people here, and I think I want to get one bus that picks people up and brings it over to that bus stop. Now I happen to have a few extra buses over here, and these guys here are going to get a different route. So I think I'm going to take this route here. I'm going to say new route. I'm going to have a few people. It's a little bit of a trek, right? It's a bit of a drive, but I'm going to have some people picked up here at this office, and we're going to bring them down and drop them in here. And I'll probably do like 2 buses that do this, just to ensure that we always have people going to the heater, right? But we'll see how well one bus does. I would just like to see both of these things running all the time. You can see how it's not really running all the time, right? Not full. We really need to see 100%. This thing is starting to move up. But because of the distance with that pump and everything, I don't know about this. Like, this is not great right now. And this is not great even with not a full load of people here, right? Like, we don't have people here yet, and we certainly don't have people in this yet. And this is the big worry, is this building. I don't know how I'm going to heat this building, so it's probably... I probably need to remake the rail here again and get another heater here that can facilitate heat in this building. And what I'll probably do is the extra heater that's on from this heat plant that I put here, what we'll probably do is position the heat exchanger in such a way that it does not get any of these and it only gets this building. And then that way, that heat exchanger will cover this building only, plus everything behind it, plus the couple hotels and things that we have, right? And yeah, it's a separate heater that's completely dedicated to that purpose. So we can probably do 2 heat exchangers if necessary. And if there is a shortage of heat on there, then yeah, we would probably want to bring it closer. And I would probably situate that heat exchanger somewhere around like, and I probably put it like here. I was thinking of maybe putting it, yeah, I don't think there really is a good spot I can position this where it only gets this palace. Because of it being a square, you don't really get to determine that. So that's why it's like 498 will reach over there, but it won't reach the palace, even though the palace is much closer than 498. So it's a really weird thing, just because it's a grid, or it's a square, and you cannot alter the rotation of the square. So it's kind of like wherever. So if I wanted it to be like that, I guess I would put it like here, which is pretty good, I guess. I mean, it's still, I don't think that would require a pump. So, I mean, this is still a good one. Like, it would be right here, and then it would cover the entire tourist area too. Something like that, just so it doesn't pull from, over here. But it looks like I'm going to be deficient over here anyway. It looks like I'm going to need, I'm going to need something going on over here. So maybe we plan for that just by dropping in the exchanger now. At least in the plans, I can put it over here. Like, say right here would be good. It would cover almost all those buildings. Maybe over here. Yeah, just a little bit shorter, or a little bit closer. No, that's good. Yeah, I'd probably do it right about here. So with that built, right, that will provide heat to this building, of course, along with the other exchanges that we have there. But it looks like we are pretty deficient when it comes to heat. We need to do something about the heat. This is a walking path. I'm going to get rid of that. We're going to put this dirt path right there. And then the walking path can be returned like that. So when we build this over here, which I'm going to build pretty quickly here. Yeah, there was a way to get the coal out, right? So I think that's what I'm going to work on right here, actually. And it has to face, I would think it has to face that way, or at least this way. But I'm trying to avoid getting in the way of the airport. I think this will be good enough. And I don't want it to pollute where the tourist area, the hotels and stuff, they're basically right here. And I thought about maybe putting this more over here, but now we're getting a little closer to chemicals. So I was thinking it was going to be like right about here, all on the water area. And so if that's the case, this thing has to be far enough away from them to not pollute. So I think it'll probably end up being like maybe over here. Something like that, right? But I need it to be flipped. Yep, like this. That way the the input, the intake for it will be on this side. So I'll probably end up trying to place it maybe right here. And now I just need to get a way to access this coal so that both of them can pull from the same source of coal. So placing the engine right here will do it, but getting a road to this thing, nay, impossible. Because of the way the road system works in this game, I won't be able to make this road happen. It's just not going to allow it to happen. So I will have to tear down the rail here, or I will have to, I don't know, find another solution. I don't think there is another solution. Maybe there is a little bit of space here. Hang on. This has got potential. I don't know about this, but there's a little bit of potential here. All right. If I was to, yeah, I want it to go that way. So I could go all the way over here. If I placed it here, I could get it over the rail track here and have that road connection. That's doable. And then I can just orient the heater to be facing the other way. I would simply need to move this, which I can totally do. That's an easy thing to do. So these are large containers. Yeah, big garbage containers. So I would probably put a little one right here. That just takes care of it, right? So we'll just transition to moving this over to there for now. I'm not going to move it in the winter. This winter is obviously not going to be done anyway. So we'll plan on having this operational at the start of next year. But we could build almost everything now and just not that conveyor engine. We just have to verify that it will connect when the time comes. So I think realistically, I could get away with something like this. Probably. It's kind of sticking out a little bit, but I don't think it's really that big of a deal here. I think the airports, the runways are going to be like that. Yeah, I think it'll be all right. We just need to give it we need adequate amounts of room here. So if I place it right here, we have a whole bunch of electricity sources there. It'll have to be, yeah, like right here. So let's say I do that. If I was to place one of these engines, all right, and we'll transition it, yep, like this. If I was to do this, no, it has to be facing that way. Yep. Well, it'll work here. If it'll work there, then it'll work here, right? I feel like that's got to be a thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. We can definitely get that right here. We just have to move this, and then we're good to go. So that's what we'll plan to do. We'll have this be where the heater is. And because of that, instead of delivering workers directly to this place here, probably a good idea to have a dedicated bus stop for this so that they can be delivered to both at the same time for the same routes. So for that, we're going to need to move some of these roads as well. Or I can put it on the other side, but now we're having to cross the tracks. I don't really want to do that, but I think I will. Yeah, I do a lot of things I don't want to do, so I guess I'll just do this. We'll go about like this with it. And then the bus route will be here, I guess. This is close enough for, I mean, they can literally walk there on the dirt road even. They don't even need the walking path, but I'm going to give them the walking path anyway. Yeah. It'll be, let's say right here. Just delete this really quick. Get that to flow a little bit smoother if possible. There we go. Perfect. Well, not perfect, but it's fine. And then you will connect straight here. We'll just have that run right through. No big deal. And so everything else from this point on in this side is completely dedicated to the airport and for airplane manufacturing. Okay, so this entire thing is airport and airport manufacturing and nothing else. Up until about right, I think probably pretty much in line with this heater. Airport, right? Everything over here is kind of like empty space so that we don't get pollution and stuff going on in there. And then just to see what we're dealing with here to the hotels, we're at about 400 or so. That should be enough. Especially, you know, since, I mean, this is a Soviet country, right? Who the heck's coming here from their vacation in the winter time? One last thing I need to figure out is whether or not this will work for that exchanger without a pump. I'm really hoping it does. So I'm going to take this. It looks like it's pretty far, doesn't it? Oh, boy. It will reach. Yep, there it is. 850. Man, I had like another 150 meters to go, man. Which is good, because I might need to put one over here to help with this too. So that's fine. So that's going to help. That's going to take care of the heat for that whole area too. Okay, so we'll have that as a pending construction. We're going to probably want another heat exchanger over here kind of in the middle of town as well too, but we've got plenty of resources for that. And then the final thing, this heater also, I want to have one that comes over here and helps with this setup, since this thing is kind of splitting its supply right now, as you know, with this area, and this area. And that's just not feasible. This thing needs to run all the time at max load, and it's usually was intended as supplemental heat over on this side, but like it actually has a pretty substantial impact. So I want to help this thing by having another one, and that's what I'm doing over there. All right then, yeah. So all good things. There we go. This is done now. There we go. All right. So we fixed the water thing. Simple elementary problem. It's all solved. Okay. And then over here, it looks like we have water coming into this one now too. Cool. Anything else? Pump's good. Tank's good. Awaiting additional. There it is. There's the water. Water's going in. So the whole setup is done here. Seems pretty good. The only thing we need to do now is chemicals, which I have a truck that's doing that. So here's how this is working. Each one of these has a dedicated truck. They do nothing else. So this is a good example right here. This truck, it's got 4 tons of chemicals on it, and it just does its thing. All right, it loads 100% from a specific chemical plant. So what it does is it goes to this chemical plant, which is the one that most people work at, and all it does is it sits in here and loads chemicals. All right. Right here. Loads chemicals, and it waits till it's loaded. It then comes back over here till it's fully full. I don't want it to do that anymore. All right. That's what I was doing to start things off. What I would like to see is that the truck picks up its chemicals from here. It doesn't have to wait till loaded. It picks up its chemicals from here. I have another truck that also comes in and picks up its chemicals from this warehouse. And then what I have are 2 forklift garages who do not deliver chemicals to that side. And so all they do, whenever they pick up chemicals, they bring it to their respective warehouses. And I think I'm probably going to go ahead and have this extra warehouse that I've got in here. We're probably going to have that one do it too. I was hoping for maybe finding a way to get another forklift in here, but I don't think there's a real good way to do that unless I do it from right here, which is possible. I do have to space it out because I do have this walk path right now, and I've got the subway coming through here too. Lots of mess underneath there. But if there might be a way to get a forklift onto this, because I would like to get more forklifts if possible. As I get more people working in these industries, which I do now have plenty of people working in these industries now. Look at that. Almost like all 3 of these are full of people right now. It's a very good sign to see that. And it's all because I have people moving in over here, and I've got a lot of people at the bus stop, right? And I've got buses that are moving around, and I did find the end station. All right, the end station, I'm just using this one. Okay, so we've got this end station, and essentially what they do is they pick up people from here, they bring them to this bus stop, then they stop at this end station, and then they keep going. And then of course this end station is responsible for, allowing the buses to stop really quick, and everything's getting spaced out. Now all I want to do is make sure that we bring fuel to this end station, because apparently that's not hooked up. I thought it was. I could have swore I did that. It's possible that because of our fuel deficit over there on that side, our fuel problems are still not solved. I think most of that has to do with the train. There's a train that comes in and picks up fuel and distributes it around, right? But honestly, we just need more people working here too. The oil refinery needs more people, because I don't think it's an oil problem. I think it's a personnel problem. We have 1,500 oil here. We have 1,500 oil here, and we have almost full oil here. It is definitely not an oil supply problem. It is a personnel problem. And so we need more people working there. The first route I'm going to have for trains over here is going to be going to steel. But the second route is going to have the train coming from this main train station right here. And that train is going to bring people over and drop them off in this stop right here. Yes. He's going to drop them off here. And then from here, they will take the underground walkway over and work there. So we will have a way to bring people from by train over to this refinery. In the meantime, though, since we don't really have a lot of that going on right now, I'm going to have another bus. I'm going to have two. I think these last two buses are going to do this. How many people are here? 54? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We're going to have more people as I add more too, so it's fine. I want you to load workers from here, right? And then you're going to go and drop them off direct. I'm just going to bring it right there. I don't want to deal with the bus stops and stuff yet. I still haven't converted this bus stop yet because it doesn't really need it yet. It's not backing up traffic anymore, you know? And actually, all of this has worked itself out because once they start following the damn roundabout rules, everything's fine. Now, I could have them dropped off over here. It's a longer drive, though, so I don't want to do that. And it's actually a shorter drive to have them dropped off here than it is to have them dropped off here, slightly. Only because, well, it may not be, because I think this road is actually here, so it's a dirt road right there. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The point is I want them specifically working there, and I don't want them to spread out and work in chemicals here. I want them only on there. So the only way to guarantee that is to do this right here. So we're going to have this happen, and then do we want to stop at an end station? I feel like my end stations are already pretty full. I don't really have a good bus end station. I mean, I guess if I'm going to have this be a bus route more in the future, I suppose I could always add, you know, somewhere in here I could add an end station, but for now I don't think that's necessary. So we're going to have you start your route, and then we'll go over to the other bus that's sitting here. One last bus waiting for this. We'll copy your route to this bus. We'll have you go, but I'm going to have you go a little bit later just so I can spread you out to start things off. We will do line spacing for these two buses. Line spacing is fine if you have a pretty long route and you have like only two buses or so. You can usually get maybe even three depending on the length of the route before the buses start to slow down. It's when you get, you know, really lots of buses on the same route, that's when you really just need to employ end stations. Otherwise, they're going to get all clumped together, or they're going to go very slow. Like they'll be driving at like 14 miles an hour just so that they can, you know, stay spaced out. So we'll go ahead and launch it now. Okay, guys. So two really exciting things just happened. One, we have all of our chemical plants running right now, and they're all running at damn near maxed out staff too, which I'm pretty excited about. That plus both plastic areas, right? Now the plastic one over here, it is not running at full speed. I've got it at 20. I think that's fine. I want to see how chemicals go, but I don't think I'm producing enough chemicals to really have both of these running at full speed anyway. So we have got one, which has pretty much maxed out labor, as does pretty much every chemical plant. Yeah, pretty close. I mean, this obviously it fluctuates as buses come in, but pretty much all good. And I want to see how that works. I may need more forklifts. They have to cover a lot of ground. The second really exciting thing is we have over 70,000 people here now. It's January 5th, 2024. Over 70,000 people live in here now, and it's only going to continue to increase as I am going to go ahead and allow them to build this building and get more people in here so we can have even more people at this bus stop, because now we start to see starting to dwindle. I have a couple of passenger-only buses as well, but there's no passengers here, so I need to allow passengers here, and I think I need to get that second bus. So I should have had another one. It's right here. Good. So this is on now, and so I'm going to allow this one to now start its route, and then I'm going to have these guys space their line out. And so these are going to be passenger-only buses, right? 158 or whatever capacity. They're going to do to be passengers and students, all that stuff, right? Because these guys, you know, maybe they can't reach where they need to go. So what these buses are doing is they're just taking them from this bus stop to this bus stop. That's it. And also from this one to this one. Back and forth they go. That's all those two buses do. Hopefully spaced out. And it's going to allow anyone who can't get what they need, like culture, which has been a big problem, they can now come over here and they can satisfy their culture needs in these culture buildings. So that's what I'm hoping that they'll be able to do. So yeah, back and forth they go, and that's it. But mostly the buses are taking people right into here, and we have some pretty great chemical plants running. Very nice. Now, how does the pollution go? So this is like, so right now, January 6th, this is like peak pollution, right? Like we have winter time, it's cold, all the heaters are running max, all these polluters here are running max. So what does our pollution look like? Well, over here at Checkpoint Char, it's close. All right, it's getting close to our people. I've spaced this out just a little bit too close. All right, it could have been better. Could have just shifted over a little bit. Maybe one too many houses there, but it's for the most part fine. All right, and it's nothing that this health system can't handle. We do have a hospital here, albeit it is also kind of red right now, so not great. But it's there. That's fine. And then there was another pollution monitor. I just don't remember where I put it. I wanted to see how close everything was to this. Maybe this will show me that. It does kind of. So you see where the pollution is here and how it just barely starts to change right through here, right? But for the most part, we're green. So it's just on the edge of where it's going to be a problem right now, right? And this is the worst case scenario right now. This is all of these things maxed out, plus winter, the heaters, everything, right? So we would expect pollution to be about this much at its peak, and I'll take it because we have a pretty decent healthcare system with the hospital being right here. We have a lot of doctors, right? Max 90 is what we can have for doctors here, by the way. I only have 20 in here because I want them working other places, and also because we really don't need that many patients. So it's fine for now. We don't need that many patients. As we start getting more buildings and stuff activated, though, then yeah, we'll crank this up and we'll allow more doctors and stuff to be in here as we go. It says max 90. I can't actually click this, though. I'm trying to click it and it won't let me. Oh, I see. You have to change the workers. Okay, so if I could go up to like 40 here, that would change the number of doctors. Yeah, indeed. Okay, so we can now handle more patients there if we really want to. I would like to see these helicopters taken off. There they go. Oh, well, at least I thought he was taking off. Looks like he's actually landing. Yeah, that one's landing. This one just landed. Okay, cool. So the helicopter's going through Charlevoix General. Very nice. Track builders, what are you doing? Why don't you just go? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Your friend's in here, but like, come on, man. You're on this completely separate track. You know, you're on the opposite side. What are you waiting for? Get in there. Track builders are the worst. They really are. They're just the worst. Maybe if I had a rail network that wasn't so crisscrossy, right? Maybe that would change how that works. Wow, this tunnel's done. Look at that. Whoa, hey, that's fully done. That's completely completed. Yeah. So now we can add this. Cool. It's gonna be a lot of years. It's gonna be a very long time before we get this metro done. But oh, this one's confused. Send you back home too. Not sure where you are, but sure, we'll get you back home. And I want right here. Yep, I want to mark that on your schedule as well, please. Yep, there you go. And you guys are very close to coming out of here. This is gonna be cool. There it is, and they're almost out. And they'll build this, and then we'll come on down and start on our way to chemicals. Now, the thing about the metro, right? Remember, metro trains can't turn around. They only go one direction, right? They go in a loop. They're not gonna be able to turn around. So that means that just because I get from here to here completed, it doesn't mean that I can have metro trains going into chemicals yet, right? That's not what that means. I have to have the entire thing, at least one side of the metro. I have to have the loop done. So like right now I'm kind of working on both sides, but what I'll probably do is start focusing them only on one direction. And then from there, if we get the entire thing done, I could then at least have a loop going with like 3 or 4 metro trains moving people around in one direction while they build the other side. that's what I plan to do. I don't know if it works quite that smoothly, but I plan to do that, and I think it can work that smoothly. So we'll see. But yeah, lots of passengers waiting, and I should probably allow students just so they can get on these buses. These buses here will be taking passengers and students over there wherever they want to go to get their culture fix and all that stuff, right? Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, I think right here is a wonderful place to stop for today. I think so. It's a little extra video this week. I'm sorry about missing Wednesday. I'll try my best to get 2 videos to you for this series next week too. No promises that time. We will have one on Wednesday. I can promise that. But we'll see. Maybe I can get a Saturday in there too. We'll see. But I really do appreciate your patience. I really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.